Good morning, evening, friends. It's the Well-Dressed Headphone Addict, Mr. Matthew Allen, coming at you live and in living color from Brooklyn, New York. I am here to give you my very first video podcast. Yes, I call it a video podcast because it's going to come in two parts. The first being video in a short form, and the second part will be a longer form audio podcast, a traditional podcast, which will be in my SoundCloud profile, which you can find right here in the comment section below. So, without any further ado, let's get right to it. This is a yet-to-be-titled video blog, video podcast that I'm doing. However, it's thematic in theme. I'm sure it'll have a title when you see it, but for right now, it is untitled. But the premise of the podcast is to take a long-ass album that has a lot of tracks and a lot of time and to condense it down to something that's more workable, something that's more accessible, and something that is worthy of the artist that had created it. So, it's going to work in two parts. I'm going to omit some tracks from the album, and then I'm going to rearrange the remaining tracks to have it make some sort of linear sense. Okay? So, Episode 1, Michael Jackson's Invincible, right in my wheelhouse. You're going to find very soon throughout my other media endeavors that I'm the second biggest Michael Jackson fan, my sister being the biggest. Shout out to my girl, Tiffany Real. Love you, sis. So, Michael Jackson's Invincible. It was released this week, 16 years ago, in 2001, October 30th, 2001. It is the 10th and final studio album by Michael Joseph Jackson, lead singer of the Jackson 5, who unfortunately passed away in 2009. So, Invincible had some nice tracks on it. It debuted at number 1, sold about 2 million copies, and had some good tracks on it, some tracks that were actually worthy of the other wonderful classic tracks that he put out in his albums previous. However, there's a lot of filler here, so I'm going to trim the fat and try to get it down to a point where it's as good as anything else that he's done. So, first off, there are 16 tracks on this album. Okay, almost an hour and 15 minutes. You can put about an hour and 20 minutes onto a CD. So let's start there. Track number 1, Unbreakable. Number 2 is Heartbreaker. Number 3 is Invincible. All three of them produced by Rodney Jerkins, are fast dance tracks. Then you have track number 4, Break of Dawn, the sexy track, mid-tempo, produced by Dr. Freeze of Velvet DeVoe fame. Then you have track number 5, Heaven Can Wait, another great, dope mid-tempo track, hard-hitting beat coming from Teddy Riley, one of Michael's chief collaborators, post Quincy Jones. Then you have You Rock My World, track number 6, the lead single off of Invincible, another Dark Child production, kind of a mid-tempo to fast-paced, sort of two-step kind of dance song. You have the next track, which is Butterflies, the excellent mid-tempo ballad courtesy of Marsha Ambrosius from Floetry and Andre Harris, who is known for his early work with Joe Scott. Then there's Speechless, a very ethereal ballad, one of the 2 songs on the album that was written solely by Michael. Then the next track you have 2000 Watts, which is sort of a boring, hard-hitting Tyrese Gibson co-written dance song with whack lyrics. Then you have You Are My Life, this sort of saccharine ballad from Babyface and Carol Bayer Sager. Then you have Privacy, the obligatory F the Media track coming from Dark Child. Then Don't Walk Away, a wonderful, very minimalist ballad coming from Teddy Riley. Then you have Cry, R. Kelly's answer to Man in the Mirror is the next track. After that, The Lost Children, a very flowery song, one of the second of the 2 that Michael wrote by himself. Whatever Happens, another great mid-tempo ballad coming from Teddy Riley. And last but not least, track 16, we have Threatened, a sort of 21st century thriller, if you will, dance cut from Rodney Jerkins. So, right off the bat, we're going to omit 6 songs. 6 songs are going to be omitted. First, we're getting rid of Heartbreaker. Now, Heartbreaker is getting rid of because it's basically top heavy. The album is top heavy with the Rodney Jerkins dance cuts. Now, contrastly with Dangerous, it was the same sort of situation, but here it's just really sort of like, just stamp them out, assembly line sort of dance track. It's not a bad song, but it's just not necessary. So Heartbreaker goes. Next is 2000 Watts, a really sort of dumb lyric. 2000 watts, 8 ohms. It just sounds dumb, unfortunately. And Michael is my favorite. I love Michael, but it's a dumb song. It's got to go. Then there's You Are My Life. Very, very sort of just forced ballad. Babyface is ordinarily really great with his production game. Carol Bayer Sager, who wrote great songs. One of them is Falling in Love from Off the Wall. Had a very fruitful relationship, both personally and professionally, with Burt Bacharach, but it just not working here. So You Are My Life goes. Privacy is out of here too. Privacy, the whole media thing, it wore thin for this particular record, because you have History, which is all about the paparazzi and the media and the claustrophobia and everything like that. It worked for that record because it was thematic. Here, it's really out of place because this album is a lot more traditional with the themes of love and relationships, so that's gotta go. Then there's Cry. Once again, it was R. Kelly's attempt to make Man in the Mirror, you can change the world. It was just, and he even had Michael whisper, change the world at the end, like make that change in Man in the Mirror. Very forced, just not convincing to me. It's not a bad song. Once again, it's just like, come on, man, it's not working. And then the last song that's getting omitted is The Lost Children. I'm not going to lie, this is a song that I'm just not plain familiar with. It's as a Michael Jackson fan, I've only played the song all the way through maybe 2 or 3 times in the 16 years that I've owned this record. So it's got to go. It's just, it's like Heal the World. It just kind of sticks out as a sore thumb, except Heal the World was a good song. This one's not. So those are the 6 songs that are getting omitted from Invincible. Now we're left with 10 songs. Now, the thing about this, rearranging it now is very, very necessary because unlike other Michael Jackson albums, it's top heavy. The remaining songs are top heavy with mid-tempo to slow ballads rather than having more faster cuts with ballads interwoven into it. So I think it works just because of the time, 2001, mid to late 90s, early 2000s, that sort of rhythm was really working as far as pop, crossover R&B, and hot R&B at the time. So I think it would have really worked in Michael's favor. Plus, to be perfectly honest, I'm saving the cream of the crop here. The 6 songs that I got rid of just weren't up to par. These 10 remaining songs are really good, at least. Some of them are classic and hold up to this day. So we're going to split it up into Side A and Side B for all my people who listen to vinyl and all my people who remember cassette tapes. I'm 35 years old, by the way, so don't think that I'm that old. But if you remember cassette tapes, the transition and sequencing of an album when it came to listening to sides was very crucial if you were a good artist and paid attention to that sort of thing. So the dynamic of an album as it goes from one track to the next to the end of the side is very important. So I'm going to explain that to you. So side A is first song is Unbreakable. Unbreakable, I'm not going to remove it from being the first song. It's the first song on Invincible. It'll be the first song, the new presentation of Invincible in my eyes. So this is a great dance track, just a nice slow build up to being this sort of Michael's like kiss off to all his detractors. Very, very just enjoyable electro funk dance cut from Rodney Jerkins. So it's going to stay in its place at number 1. At number 2, I'm moving You Rock My World up to the second track, immediately following Unbreakable. It's sort of deceptively mid-tempo, but it's a lot more fast tempo, so I liken it to the transition of Don't Stop Till You Get Enough to Rock With You, or Why Be Starting Something to Baby Be Mine, which sort of has an equal kind of rhythm, but it's still just sort of that but Unbreakable is so it's the same rhythm, but it's different textures that makes it sound like it's faster. So we're gonna put that there. Plus, You Rock My World is the first single. Not my first choice for a first single, but we'll get into that with the audio part that I hope you go back to, that I talk about. That I dive into that. So, You Rock My World is track number 2. Number 3 is Break of Dawn. Now, Break of Dawn was the 4th track. We're going to move it up to the 3rd track following You Rock My World, because it has that sort of breezy, mid-tempo sort of thing. A very sexy song talking about getting it on with your loved one. It's really, really dope. Nice vocals by Michael on this one. Not too aggressive with the just very sort of smooth, like the old mic, like the 82, 79 mic. I really like it. Then number 4 is Butterflies. It sort of slays with that Break of Dawn feel, but it's got a more of a hip hop head nod to it. If I'm off key, I'm sorry. I didn't do my scales. So, Butterflies. That's going to be the 4th track following Break of Dawn. Another just great, beautiful love song with a nice, head nods, finger popping sort of thing. Then we move back to the up tempo to end side A with the title track Invincible. So Invincible is going to end side A because it has it's going to be a nice bookend of 2 Darkchild dance cuts for this record, and it works to transition to side B because thematically Invincible is the man talking to a girl who he thinks is perfect and tries to convince her why she should be with him and not be with some other guys. And it works because the first song on side B is Threatened. So Threatened is sort of an eerie post Y2K thriller kind of vibe. Another Rodney Jerkins dance track. And it's got this scary vibe of Rod Serling from the Twilight Zone that's sampled into it. But the thing about it is that lyrically it talks about a man who is being haunted by somebody else. Like, you might not see me, but you can feel my presence. So it works well with the coming from Invincible. Now, side B's second song is Heaven Can Wait. Heaven Can Wait is one of the 2 best songs on Invincible, and it's absolutely amazing. Excellent track from Teddy Riley. Teddy Riley is going to actually dominate the second half of Invincible here. So it starts with Heaven Can Wait. It actually was supposed to be for Blackstreet. Michael took it, and his vocals on it are absolutely stellar. Some of the best vocals he's had since the Bad album. The sentiment of the song is excellent when it comes to talking about a man having a relationship with a woman is so perfect that if he died and went to heaven, it still wouldn't compare to the love that they shared with each other. So, so beautiful. And Michael singing, like I said, so powerful, so emotional, but still got vibrato and smoothness and melisma in there. It should have been a single. I don't understand why, but that's another story. Then we have Speechless. So you go from the mid-tempo but hard-knocking hip-hop beat of Heaven Can Wait into Speechless. Speechless is very, very sentimental, very flowery, but just lyrically it's very strong. Your love is magical, that's how I feel, but I have not the words yet to explain. It's just very, very beautifully sang. I don't really have a problem with it. It works here. And plus just the arc of going from a fast song to a mid-tempo to a very slow song works beautifully, which is why it leads into Don't Walk Away. and Don't Walk Away, one of Teddy Riley's better ballads that he's produced. An excellent restrained vocals performance from Michael here, especially on the bridge. All my dreams been broken. I don't know where we're going. It's just very, very restrained, powerful, but still very dynamic at the same time. So Don't Walk Away is track number 9. Track number 10, the last song on this in this portion of Invincible, is Whatever Happens. Whatever Happens is probably the best song on this album. Another great Teddy Riley collaboration. Also a collaboration with Carlos Santana, who was hot from his Supernatural album, Resurgence at the time. Just absolutely excellent song, talking about, the struggles of trying to love a woman who doesn't love herself. It's so beautiful, and some of Michael's most visceral, most dynamically powerful, high register singing with his natural voice. An excellent way to end the album on a high note, on an emotional note. And there you have it. You have a stellar 10-track album that would have been a great way for Michael to go out, even though none of us knew, not even him, that it would be his last album. So, there you have it. That is my take on the Invincible album by Michael Jackson, and how the fat should be trimmed from 16 tracks to 10, and how the songs get rearranged to make more sonic and narrative sense. So, if you want a more in-depth look at this particular thing, then you can hit the link below, and you can listen to the audio version of this, which is longer and it goes more in depth. I hope you don't mind me ranting a little bit and giving some backstory about certain tracks, about certain producers, build up to the album, aftermath of the album. Also, my opinion about why certain singles were chosen and what singles should have been chosen. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. There'll be more to come. I won't tell you which album will be next, but I will give you a hint. I feel it coming.